Danger, Dr. Danfield.
Well, good evening, folks. This is the boy with the goods, Tom Woods, to give you blokes some pokes with jokes that'll make you croak or laugh till you choke. Ha ha! How am I doing? Yes. I'm going to kill you, folks. Simply going to kill you.
Dr. Danfield, student of crime psychology, has many times provided the police with a solution to a baffling crime. As usual, there's an interesting case for the doctor today. We'll call it Death Tunes In at 790 Kilocycles.
You kill me, Dan.
Oh, why?
Imagine Dr. Danfield going to see your radio show.
Oh, why not? It'll be a lesson in psychology, just to see what it is that makes people laugh.
By the way, you haven't told me yet whose show it is we're going to see.
Oh, Tom Woods.
Tom Woods?
Sure. The boy with the goods, Tom Woods. You're so hi, you clacks. Here's stacks of cracks that like to smack.
Oh, no, Dan. Not that corny guy.
Oh, why not? There's psychology in corn, too, you know. Probably the most commercial stuff on the air.
Well, okay. I can stand if you can.
Huh?
Hey, what are we coming in the back way for?
Well, I've got tickets in the client's booth.
What's that?
Well, we're going to see this show from backstage.
Oh, good. I've never been in the back of one of these places before.
Here we are. Now, this is the artist entrance.
Hey, Dan, there's a policeman.
He's a special
Me and Tommy's home. Did you ever stop to think that perhaps Tom helped a little? Sure he did. What do you think I come down here every show day? Certainly isn't to listen to Tom. There is stuff all day long at home. Believe me, dearie, take my advice and never marry a guy who thinks he's funny.
Very interesting. If you've changed, Tom, we'll walk back to the studio.
Well, maybe now that McGregor's dead, I can stay home night. Now, I guess I won't either. They'll have to get another singer.
Come on, Tom.
See you in the control booth, honey.
You know, Tom, you and your wife had better stick together. It wouldn't be very hard for a good prosecuting attorney to figure out that either one of you had a very good motive for this murder.
I wouldn't kill a flea. And as for Fluffy, well, she's nuts about me, but she wouldn't kill a gal. She'd scratch her eyes out.
Well, here we are. Now, let's see. That took exactly 3 minutes and 32 seconds.
What does that prove?
I'll let you know after Mr. J. Sheridan Lewis and I take a little walk. Coming, Mr. Lewis?
I don't know why I should have put up with this tomfoolery. I have a show that's got to go on about 10 minutes.
You better come along or you won't be here when it does go on. Or maybe you'd rather have Mr. Stevens here prod you a bit.
No, all right. But my sponsor will hear about this.
Yeah. Now, according to your statement, J. Sheridan, when the murder happened, you were out getting a drink of water.
That is correct.
Where?
Down at the water fountain, the far end of the hall.
The long hall?
Yes. How are you, Jimmy? That was Jimmy Filler.
Yes, I recognize.
Say, if you want any proof that I did come down to take a drink, you can ask Jimmy. He was taking one at the same time. Brother, when he gets hold of this, will his program be pumping?
Yes, I can imagine. Why didn't you use this water fountain right here?
Because it's broken.
Oh.
You know, this murder will turn out to be a good thing after all.
How can murder ever be a good thing?
Well, with all the publicity we'll get, I'll bet it'll run our hooper up to at least an 18.
Well, here we are at the fountain. If you'd be so kind, J. Sheridan, take a drink. Fine. Now we'll walk back.
This is all very silly.
I'm doing this for your benefit, Mr. Lewis. One of you three is guilty of murder. This is the only way I can prove that two of you are innocent. Of course, you could save me a lot of trouble by confessing.
But I'm not... Go ahead. I won't raise any more fuss.
Yeah, it's better. Tell me, did your wife have any objections to the special tutoring you gave Miss McGregor?
If you know women, you know she did, Dr. Danfield.
Uh-huh. You couldn't by any chance have gotten in a bit too deeply with your protege. Deep enough that to keep peace at home you were forced to get rid of her?
My dear Dr. Danfield, I am a man of the world. I have been around.
Yes.
I may play around, but I never allow myself to become too deeply involved in anyone.
Yes, I rather imagined you were that kind of a character.
No,
Oh, save it. Here we are back again. Well, that concludes my little experiment, gentlemen. Oh, by the way, Lewis, that took exactly 3 minutes.
Yes, that should be about right.
Now, I've taken an exact timing of your movement since you left the control room. You, Mr. Bell, were writing a scene for the show. The time for that was between 5 and 6 minutes at the very least. Therefore, if your story is correct, it would have been impossible for you to be here in the sound lock at the time of the murder.
Well, thank you. That relieves me no end.
And now for the boy with the goods, Tom Wood.
Yes, sir.
Well, according to your story, you were in your dressing room changing your shirt. Fortunately for you, your wife was also there, and she corroborates your tale. That timed out at exactly 3 minutes and 32 seconds. So, you couldn't have been here at the time of the killing either.
Good old Fluffy. I knew she'd come in handy sometime or other.
So, that leaves J. Sheridan Lewis. Now, according to Mr. Lewis's story, he was down at the water fountain getting a drink. That took exactly 3 minutes, according to the very best stopwatch. So, J. Sheridan couldn't have been in at the slaying.
Yes, but
Unless one of you is lying, none of you could have killed Helen McGregor. In a moment, we'll return for the conclusion of Danger, Dr. Danfield. But first... And now back to Michael Dunn for the conclusion of Danger, Dr. Danfield. I said that unless one of you was lying, none of you could have killed Helen McGregor. But one of you is lying. You worked this out very well, Mr. Larson Bell.
me? What?